two-word is human? Oh. কবে কি বলেছি আমি নেই মনে নেই সেই ভুলটুকু নিয়ে ভুল বোঝাই কবে কি বলেছি আমি নেই মনে নেই সেই ভুলটুকু নিয়ে ভুল বোঝাই না হয় এবার তুমি ভুল করে এসে সেই ভুল ভেঙে দাও বন্ধু জানি না তুমি কেমন আছো Our today's class will be conducting on errors. As I have said, the 2R is human, and this ear has multi-dimensional roles in case of language learning. The song I sang a little bit ago, that was about error. Why? Everyone tends to be making errors, and that is the human characteristics, that we make mistakes, is it? So mistakes and errors, and these errors will not always be treated badly in case of second language learning. Errors. Why errors are caused in case of second language learning, and what is the effect of error, whether these errors will determine something or not, and what is the possible causes of errors that will affect second language learning, we will be analyzing today. So errors not always be treated badly in second language learning. Errors sometimes will be taken positively. And these errors, if we can analyze errors, and that will be observed through the process of a learner's language learning history or pedagogy or methodology. If a learner is conscious enough about his or her errors, then he or she will be precautious not to make such kind of errors. And that is the importance of errors in case of second language acquisition. And whenever the errors will be analyzed systematically, that will be helpful. And this theory will also be explained with some ideas, that is a systematic approach or method to analyze learners' errors. And as I have said, that is, it is not always bad. Errors will some kind a helpful tool in the process of second language acquisition. There are several types of analysis of errors. As I have said, that if we can analyze error perfectly through the language learning process or system, that errors will be helpful. And this errors analysis will be consisted of two kinds of errors. One errors that is made in the target language and the native language. So one kind of error that will be done or made between target language and native language, and another kind of error that is within the target language. So the target language and native language related errors is called interlanguage or interlanguage errors, and the errors that is done within the target language error, that is intra-language error. Okay. So these are the two categories of errors naturally students or learner make. The native language of the learner plays a significant role in language learning process. So errors basically, according to many critics, that the errors done in the history of second language learning for the effect of native language. So native language, according to many critics, that native language influence make error in second language learning, and that is called interlingual errors. And interlingual errors are also called transfer or interference errors. Most probably in the previous class we talked about UG, universal grammar, and also the transfer. And also there are two major causes of errors. Why these errors are caused in case of second language learning? Two major causes found by error analysis approach. That is interlingual error, which is an error made by the learner's linguistic background and native language interference, and the infralingual error, which is the error committed by the learners when they misuse some target language rule. So these are the two kinds of error. So native language, according to many critics, is a main cause of making errors in second language learning. And there are some steps of error analysis. These are according to Porter. He said that selection, identification, classification, explanation, and evaluation. If we follow this process of an error analysis, then error will not be harmful, error will be helpful in the journey of second language acquisition, the title of our course. That means you have to select the errors, you have to identify the errors, you have to classify the errors, you have to explain and evaluate the errors. So if we analyze the errors following these stages, then errors will be beneficial for second language learning. Ellis proposes, however, 4 stages, excluding the selection. So Ellis said that the second, so identification, classification, explanation, and evaluation. So if we follow this, that would be helpful for second language learning. Some steps of error analysis. First, propagation of errors. That means before writing something, or before doing something, or before speaking something, you can imagine, or you can suspect some possible errors. This is the first stage. That means I may make this kind of mistakes. The second stage, the measuring the errors. So after writing something or after speaking something, you can measure, that is done during the experiment. So you may imagine that in case of my speaking, in case of my writing, I may get trouble for having such kind of errors. But after the experiment, you will see, you have to measure the errors, what you have done and what you have imagined. You have to measure the errors. And the third step is comparison with accepted values is performed, and after the experiment is completed. So you have to, so what did you think before writing or speaking something, and after the actual writing or speaking, you have to measure that whether you have done more mistakes or not, or whether you have done less mistakes. That is the first stage, that is the reality, the gap between appearance and reality. That is the third stage. So before leaping or before jumping, that you might expect that yes, there might have some problems, but after the jump, you can analyze that whether the problem is much or less. Here, why such kind of analysis is done in case of second language learning. So, error analysis helps students to develop a conceptual understanding of mathematical processes. That means, just like mathematics, of course, if you can determine, okay, it's our process that naturally we think that, yeah, what I have said, that's right. What I have written, that's right. But if we admit that, yes, as I have started with the dialogue, that two are is human, if we think that, yes, I may make mistakes, if we understand that, and if we in such a way go forward, then the students develop a conceptual understanding about second language learning. And studying their own errors, when they can understand that yes, error is very common in case of second language learning. In case of direct method is not intended or is not the field where learners will be allowed to speak their native language. Okay. And they are also in the habit that yes, error should be corrected, because if error goes uncorrected, that would be the behavior of the learner. That is the behaviorist theory. But in some other method, errors should not be corrected promptly just after the speaking, because if we correct the errors at the time of the actual production, then the speaking might get slow. So there are two kinds of views about the correction. But the in this title, that if we analyze the errors in second language learning, that would be helpful, because you will understand that yes, errors is common and error may occur in case of second language learning. So it will give the students or the learners a conceptual framework about the second language learning, and they can make their strategy. When a learner will think that yes, he or she may make mistakes, then he or she will take their strategy. Just for an example, that means many students at the time of their actual presentation, they would pronounce odd sound, like that. Okay, that means such kind of odd sound will be the hindrance in case of the smooth flow of the presentation. So if any learner understands that yes, he or she might have such kind of problem, then he or she can develop a strategy. What is the strategy? Whenever such kind of sound will come in your mind, then the brain is not getting the word. So at that time, you see that the many speaker will be producing I mean, you know. Okay. So these are the strategy. Then if a learner understands that such kind of errors will occur, then they can develop their strategy. That whenever their brain will keep to produce the sound okay, at that time he or she will be producing I mean, or you know, I mean, or you know. What should I say? These are the approach. That means the errors. If you can understand the error, the learner or can develop their own strategy to eradicate the errors. So in this way, errors will be helpful in several language learning approach. In case of error analysis, first stage that we have discussed at the initial second classes. that is the contrastive analysis. This type of analysis was recorded by a scholar. His name is Lado, not Del. Lado, 1957. He commented that the teacher who has made a comparison of the foreign language with the native language of the students will know better what the real problems are and can provide for teaching them. Okay, so though this is a process, that is how you can evaluate every student's language ability. That might be a question, but that is a different debate. But Lado said that if a teacher can learn the learner's ability to use the target language, that means what kind of mistakes the learner may make through the process of their second language learning, then teacher can develop their own strategy and also provide the necessary tips or helps in case of second language learning. So constructive analysis, in this analysis, the teacher has to understand the mistakes or errors previously in the process of the language teaching. Shikkar age, teaching at age, teacher he or she has to understand that what might be the mistakes and provide the necessary solution. And this, the origin of this constructive analysis were pedagogical, and this was reflected in comparison of several peers of language by scholars in the United States, all directed at establishing the areas of learning difficulty and that were likely to be experienced by English speakers learning and other languages. As I have said, that naturally native language is a hindrance for learning second language. So if we make a peer, that means suppose he wants to learn Hungarian. So his peer will be Bangla and Hungarian. He wants to learn Chinese, Bangla and Chinese. She wants to learn French, so Bangla and Chinese. So this will be the peer. And after getting such kind of peer, if we analyze that what might be the mistakes in this language learning process, that means the students or the learner who wants to learn English language, what might be the mistakes? Who wants to learn Chinese, what might be the mistakes? Who wants to learn the Arabic language, what might be the mistakes? Who wants to learn Hindi language, what might be the mistakes? Here, we can see that in case of Arabic and Persian, these two languages are quite similar. If we compare Bangla and Hindi, that might be quite similar. Many Bengali words are quite similar to Hindi. But if we compare Bangla and Chinese, then that will be the two different language and two different paradigms. So here, in case of Bangla and Chinese, the comparison will be done. In case of Bangla and Hindi, a comparison will be done. In case of Bangla and Hungarian, a comparison will be done. Such kind of comparison or analysis is called contrastive analysis. And several studies have been carried out in this regard. Okay, and clearly we can say that it is an area of considerable theoretical interest for general linguists, and here basically will be a comparison between two different kind of language and try to understand that what might be the errors. In this regard, contrastive analysis had both psychological aspects and also a linguistic aspects. Psychological aspects, that means if we want to learn Hindi language, then naturally you will be in upper hand, the many Hindi words you know. But if you want to learn Hungarian, not a single word you know about this language. So here the psychological involvement in case of readers is called psychological analysis aspects, and another linguistics aspects in constructive analysis. In psychological aspects, this rationale takes the form of the contrastive analysis or hypothesis. This exists in a strong or a weak form, okay, two different forms. And the strong form claims that all L2 errors can be predicted by identifying the difference between the target language and the learner's first language. As I have said that yes, if there is a similarity between the first language and the target language, the error will be less. And if the target language is quite different from the first language, the mistakes or errors will be more. So that is the psychological aspects of this contrastive analysis. That will happen. And we will not be reading more. And another form will be the linguistics aspect of contrastive analysis. Here you see that is a comparison of two languages can be carried out using any of the several different models of grammar. Initially the model used was the structuralist linguist Bromfield. This emphasized the importance of detailed scientific description of language based on the description of the different categories that make up the patterns of the language. These categories was defined in formal terms or they were established inductively. Actually, the structure of every language is different. Okay, as I have said that I eat an apple, okay, the structure is quite different. So in the same way, if we make an analysis between Bangla language and Farsi, if we make an analysis the Bangla language and Chinese, of course there will be a usage of grammar, structure, punctuation, pronunciation, every pattern is different. So based on such kind of errors, that is called the linguistics aspects of errors. So one psychological aspects of errors and another is linguistics aspects of error. Okay, so here there is theoretical criticism over there. A number of the different issues will be considered under this heading. That is the attack of the behaviorist account of the language learning, which was given in Abdus by Chomsky, and review of the Skinner's verbal behavior. We have gone through such kind of behavior that Chomsky said that it is language learning is a matter of innate capability, but Skinner said that it's a matter of behavior that we have discussed in our classes. So here, error should be a matter of our habit, and for this reason they said that there should be correct instantly, and in case of Chomsky, that is the language is a matter of our inborn capabilities. That is the aspects of Skinner's model of behaviorist theory and Chomsky's model of innate theory. Second one, the nature of the relationship between the notion of difficulty as predicted by the constructive analysis and the error. So after getting the constructive analysis, that means putting two languages together, if we can predict that that errors may be done through the process of second language learning, that should be eradicated. And the third one, the problem concerning the linguistics basis of the contrastive analysis, in particular translation equivalence and the need to accommodate the variability of the learner performance when predicting errors. So these are the three theoretical criticisms for language error analysis. And the third one, the next one is the practical criticism. Here, we see that a majority of the learners, errors are not caused by interference. Then contrastive analysis is of the limited value. So many of the critics, they say that actually first language is not a matter of the errors, because there are few kinds of language there will have the similarity. In most cases, you will see the different languages. Okay, for this reason, first language will be a hindrance for second language learning. In maximum cases, it is not right. That is by several critics. And many of the predictions made by the constructive analysis proved to be not practical, rather not real actually. And there is another portion, that is, we have also said the language transfer. Here we said that it was recognized that difficulty predicted by the constructive analysis might be analyzed as avoidance instead of errors. Okay. Second, empirical evidence was forthcoming to show that interference was more likely to take place when there was some similarity between the first language and the second language. So similarity, if there is the similarity between first language and the second language, like errors may be occurred, but if not, the errors will not occur. Okay, and there is another stage, that is it was developed by Chester, pronunciation is Chester. He said that the relative causes produced by adult L2 learner from different language background, she found that Chinese and Japanese learners, those first language do not contain English-like relative clauses, made few errors, while Persian and Arabic learners, whose first language resembles English, is relative clause structure, made for more. That means if there is a similarity, mistakes will be done. If there is no similarity, mistakes will not be done. Okay, so there are some other degrees of similarity. The constructive analysis hypothesis was founded by the transfer theory, which stated that learning difficulty was the result of the interference from old habit in the learning of the new habits. It should be followed, therefore the difficulty will correlate positively and the magnitude of the distance between language. So the similarity will be less, and for this reason always first language will be a hindrance. It's not quite right, and we can analyze, if we analyze the structure errors, that would be helpful in the long run. Okay, so some other fields are constructive pragmatics. So it has already been noted that the discussion of the translation equivalence, that constructive analysis needs to consider not only the linguistics construct but also pragmatic construct. So if we summarize that errors in case of second language learning is a common thing, and errors will not always be treated badly. It can be helpful, and if we can analyze error through a systematic way. And what is the systematic way? First selection, then evaluation, and then measuring, and then analysis of the error. So if we can judge the errors done by the learners previously, then we can take precautions. Teachers can provide necessary strategy or advice so that the learner can make such kind of errors, and the learners, if they are conscious about their errors, they will have that conceptual understanding of the language, and they will be a confident second language learner. So error analysis says that error is not always should be taken negatively, rather error should be taken positively if we can analyze the error in a systematic way. So thank you. Many of you have gone for